Welcome to Night Frank's first Fireside chat, looking at what's happening in the Asia Pacific region, starting with New Zealand, where we're seeing them coming now out of the lockdown into level 3 and green shoots are rising. So to join us to give an insight into what's happening in that market is Johnny Sinclair, who's the Regional Head of Residential for Bayleys. Johnny, welcome. Could you give us a bit of an insight into your career to date, and then perhaps we'll delve into a few questions about what's happening in New Zealand currently.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Victoria. So I've been with Bayleys for 20 years now. As you said, I'm running the residential business for the Bailey family. It's very exciting times for us at the moment. About 13 hours ago, we have gone into level 2, which enabled cafes and restaurants to open. Schools are going to open next Monday, so getting a little bit of normality back into it, and actually being able to have a nice cup of coffee has been great.
Definitely, and we've seen that New Zealand's really led the world in terms of the success of the COVID-19 lockdown strategy. And now that it's lifting you into level 2 and you're gradually coming back to normality, but we're still sort of hearing reports about borders being closed, although potentially opening up to Australia for the foreseeable future. How do you see New Zealand remaining relevant to international investors in the near to medium term? Because obviously you're really being spotlighted as a great safe haven location at the moment. So what do you see the impact of that lockdown in terms of people coming in having on that international interest?
Yeah, look, I think Jacinda Ardern, our PM, have actually done a great PR stunt for being on the world stage at the moment, and she's getting a lot of coverage, which is, I think, for a lot of people are actually looking at us and saying, well, what is it about New Zealand? And a lot of people now probably realise that we are a bit of a safe haven. We've got a strong and effective government. We don't have any corruption. Like the rest of the world, we have got low interest rates, but we've got no stamp duty. We've got no capital gains tax. And we do have a high standard of living as well. So I think those factors has really contributed us to being relevant as a place to invest, and so much so that we actually have concluded a couple of deals in the last 2 weeks. One, Kelston Mall in Auckland for $43 million, and a retail precinct down at the Viaduct, also in Auckland, for $13.5 million. They were both to Singaporeans. I think for people that haven't been to New Zealand yet, investors that haven't been to New Zealand yet, probably will need to actually come and visit when the borders are open. But we have 3 million people coming through our country, through our borders, and a lot of them have fallen in love. And we're going to be seeing that activity flowing through, and we already are seeing that activity more from expats and as well as investors.
And you're seeing that activity in terms of the online digital demographic looking at New Zealand currently. Could you perhaps touch on what uptick you're seeing and any trends you're seeing from different locations globally who are looking at you as that safe haven opportunity currently?
Yeah, sure. Look, our web traffic, and if you have a look at our web traffic, 20% of all our traffic on our Bayleys website is coming from the offshore. We're seeing it's quite diverse. We're seeing inquiry coming out of the States, Asia, and also through the UK and Europe. If you have a look at our major paper, the New Zealand Herald, they're experiencing 30% of the overall traffic is coming back into from offshore inquiry. Now that will predominantly be the expat market. These are the ones who sit and are eating their Weet-Bix at 7 o'clock in the morning, and because we can see the spike at 7 o'clock in the evening our time. So they obviously want to know what's going on in New Zealand.
That's a big topic at the moment, this expat flight, and we're seeing that in terms of expats, New Zealand expats, Australian expats in the region, looking at their decision making about moving back home. Perhaps this scenario has fast forwarded their move home, and also for British expats as well. And in fact, even Japanese expats, our local Singapore team here have got a few inquiries for expats looking to go home there. So it's really interesting to see how this is shaping people's decisions and thinking about quality of life. And that comes back to really all those fundamentals for New Zealand in terms of what you have to offer for somebody for work, for living, for that work-life balance. So it's really interesting to see you've seen that.
Yes, look, absolutely. And talking to a lot of expats around the world, a lot of people have always got ambitions to come home. I don't think that's any secret with all the nations throughout the world. But what we're looking at the moment is that the people were not confident that they could actually transact their work if remotely. And I think over the last 6 weeks is proven the fact that they can actually do it with more confidence, because I've had to do it for the people who actually came back and are actually working remotely. So we think that there is going to be a bit of a changing of the guard, and a lot more expats are going to start flooding back as a result of this.
It's really interesting, isn't it? And then looking at that in terms of job opportunities, what do you see as the greatest economic sector opportunity emerging from COVID-19 for you, and where do the real estate market affect on those?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of sectors. Obviously, the hospitality tourism areas are going to be hit severely. We have got a big tourism nation, so the likes of our Rotorua and Queenstown and regional tourism destinations are going to take a short-term hit. However, the opportunity, I guess, is for the astute buyers who have got a long-term view and taking advantage of that. We do think it is actually going to be relatively short-term, and the reason for this is that $41 billion is what is the income that comes in every single year. 27 or 60% of that is actually New Zealanders are travelling within New Zealand. So you couple that with the lion's share of our offshore people is from Australia. So if we can open up that bubble, we can see that tourism market coming back relatively quickly. I think the other opportunities, I think it's going to be very hard for developers to find funding. So there's an opportunity for the funding sector. You know, if you've got an equity investor and they've got a developer and they've got a good product, good markets and so forth, I think that's an opportunity. And the third opportunity that we see is the investor market. You know, we and also the first home buyers. First home buyers, low interest rates now. They're actually able to get a foot in the door. And we've got a thing called LVRs, which is a loan to value ratio. That's been dropped to 10%, giving the investors an ability to generate a bit more debt.
That's interesting, because that's gone from 25% down to now 10%. I know there's been a big drive by the government of New Zealand to help people onto the property ladder. So that's going to really open up a lot of opportunities for domestic business from those first-time buyers that you wouldn't have seen before, because they just physically couldn't afford to get on the property ladder.
Correct, yes.
So then looking at New Zealand and the benefits from it, and one of the big benefits is having one of the least densely populated land masses globally, and that's definitely going to be attractive to a lot of people looking at relocating. And you've got a sort of strong rural and agricultural economy as well. But what are the opportunities in terms of the Green New Deals that you think consumer choice will drive in support of New Zealand business changing to more sustainable practices?
Yeah, look, I think firstly, as a society, we are greenies at heart. We've got a real appreciation for our surroundings, and we're very, very blessed with what we've actually got. Companies, most of our New Zealand companies have got sustainable practices in place and have been doing for a number of years. Regional councils, Fonterra, the government, it is a big focus for all those three areas to get better water quality, wetlands, etc. We haven't been perfect, don't get me wrong. We have made mistakes in the past, but over the last 10 or so years, we've made a concerted effort across there. So, you know, for us, we are an export business. We produce a lot of food and trees and so forth. And so the opportunities we see in that sustainable area is that we've got to be able to create added value products. And what I mean for that, as an example, you know, we export a huge amount of milk powder. Now, if we could turn that milk powder into organic milk powder, that's going to give us a 30% extra, a bigger margin on that. For producing the same amount of cows and the same production, it's not going to be any extra impact on our land. So there's an opportunity there. I think from a forestry point of view, instead of us just cutting down a tree and chipping off the logs, if we could actually turn it into timber and 4x2 and send it and export it, or even better yet, if we could actually turn it into a table and export it, I think that is a huge opportunity. We need capital to do that, and the investors who have got some visions to be able to take that, I think is a wonderful opportunity.
It's amazing to see how that's developed over 10 years. And you say there's still a lot of growth to go, which is hugely exciting to see, and real opportunity for investors looking for investment into the sustainable environment. Talking about environments and touching on the biggest sort of work from home experiment the world has been forced into, which has been really interesting. We have seen that we can be productive from home, but it's raised a lot of questions about that workspace. And there are quotes from 20 to 80% of space being used in the future when we get back to the new normal. How do you see that impacting your business, and how are you responding to that now you're actually back and you're talking to us from the office today?
Yeah, look, that's a really, really good question. Firstly, I need to say it is extremely hard to build culture in a meaningful way over Zoom or Teams. So I think it's inevitable people are going to want to be working more remotely. I think business owners have also seen that you can actually achieve and or exceed production with employees working from their homes. I think cost savings and a huge shortage in the short term, I think we're kidding ourselves. And the reason I base that on is that a lot of us have got long-term leases at the moment, so we're stuck with them. But also, you know, we need to be able to adapt to the current environment. And you know, we're in some serious times at the moment, and the focus for business owners is going to be making sure that our income is exceeding expenditure for the next 12 to 24 months. I think also that if there are profitabilities and you can reduce your floor plates, I think that's good and well, and you know there's opportunities there. I think you're going to need to balance that now with what the job satisfaction is going to create for the employees. The fact that they could actually potentially be working at a beach house or a lifestyle block is going to be huge benefits to them. They're not going to have to commute for an hour each way. The cost savings that they're going to have, so there's going to be benefits for both teams, and so there needs to be just a pragmatic view on how to actually structure that. But I think it's exciting. I think it's something that we can all look forward to.
Definitely, I think it's really exciting, and it's looking at that work-life balance. And you talked about people commuting for an hour and the productivity that hour saved each way, and the work-life balance. And it comes back to that community piece as well, doesn't it? And your time with your family. And a happy employee makes a happy business because they're more productive. So it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves. So could you perhaps round up for us sort of a 60-second summary of what we've discussed and anything you haven't shared that you'd like to with the audience listening?
Yeah, look, I mean, I just think from New Zealand's point of view, like the rest of the world, it is going to be rocky road. We've got no doubt whatsoever that we're going to be having some challenges, more so in different sectors than other sectors. We're very, very fortunate in New Zealand. We have got very low debts. Our debt is running at about 20%. So the government have got a lot more levers. The balance sheet's healthy to actually be able to spend more money. It's interesting to note that Grant Robinson is actually presenting the budget today. And so you can expect there's going to be a huge amount of investment in that, which we're well positioned to take that debt on to then obviously start paying it back over the next 3, 5, 10 or however many years. So look, we're very optimistic down here. We know it's going to be a hard ride, but we're up for the challenge. And, you know, us Kiwis, we love challenges. We are at the bottom end of the world and so forth, and a lot of times we're the underdogs, and we like that. So we've just got to work together as a team. That's all.
Definitely, and it's about the opportunities in adversity and what we can see and learn from this and share and innovate together. And one point we've touched on before was actually about where you can work from, and we've spoken previously about the fact that actually you can have people working for your business that are based elsewhere, and it's bringing that diversity and helping drive forward productivity, which is so exciting. And I look forward to being able to come back to New Zealand again when travel resumes, because it's definitely a place that is close to my heart. It's a wonderful environment to visit and be in. So thank you very much for sharing with us. If anyone wants any more information about New Zealand, we'll share Johnny's details. Please do reach out across residential and commercial. We're here to help advise as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you.